The March 26, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting has been called to order. Commissioner Bennett, will you read the statement of purpose?
Mayor, decisions today be made with wisdom, careful deliberation, and in the best interest of the city of Diamond Head. May we display patience and kindness in our dealings with each other and all who are in attendance, and may any decisions made today promote the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Diamond Head and the enhancement of the city as a whole.
Okay. Commissioner Parrish, will you lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Commissioner DeGrove,
Present.
Commissioner Harwood, Commissioner Nico,
Present.
Commissioner Bennett,
Present.
Commissioner Parrish, Commissioner Bauer, Brewer, I always say that, and Chairman Flowers.
Present. Okay,
All right, we have a quorum.
we do have a quorum. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the confirmation or adjustments to the agenda. Are there any adjustments, or can I get a motion to accept with a second?
Motion to accept.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay, the meeting, or the agenda is approved. Next item of business is the approval of minutes from the February 27th, 2024 meeting. Are there any adjustments, or can I get a motion to accept with a second?
Motion to accept.
Okay,
Second.
all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. Moving on to new business. Lemoyne Thompson Jr. has filed, do it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Has filed an application requesting a variance from the zoning ordinance Article 4.19 to allow the construction of an accessory structure within 10 feet of the principal residence. The property address is 7336 Anila Place. The tax parcel number is 068R check 3 check 41 check 090.000. The property is in an R2 zoning district. The setback from the principal residence is 8 feet. The variance requested is 2 feet. The case file number is 2024000069. Mr. Rich?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Mr. Thompson filed a variance. He had applied for a permit and was granted a permit to put an accessory structure on his property. He has a double lot. So to put it on his property, when the accessory structure was placed on the lot, it was within 8 feet from the primary residence, and the ordinance calls for it to be 10 feet. So he has asked for a variance of 2 feet to allow that to be 8 feet from his property and his primary residence instead of 10 feet.
Okay. And is he here tonight?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Would you like to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, when I had a structure put on there, I was at work. My roommate is the one that did all the measurements that we sent in for zoning. So I just told him, well, you made the plans, just have them put it within that perimeter. So I didn't really arrive until the end where it was placed there. So I didn't get out a measurement stick and measure it because I really didn't know what he had gave to him. And so when the inspector came by, because I just did my steps and we were about to do the hurricane proofing, that's when he told me that, you know, what was required was the 10 feet. And so when I found that out, it's going to take me $1,000 to move it 2 feet. And so I just needed to know before I spend all that money, can I get the 2 feet or just move it?
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Thompson?
Not for Mr. Thompson, but has y'all talked to the neighbors and everybody, anybody in the neighborhood to see if they object to?
Yes, we do. I don't know if they signed up to speak. No? Okay, but I do have a letter, and I believe it's included in your packet. In fact,
Okay.
I know it is. It was the second last page in your packet.
Okay.
From Miss Elizabeth Johnson, Gary and Stephanie Fayard, and Miss Trudy Oquin, sorry, Oquin. And I will go ahead and read it into the record with your
Okay.
permission.
Go ahead.
Planning and Zoning Commission, public hearing, City Hall, variance request for accessory structure on property at 7336 Anella Place. We are the property owners in Anella Place whose residences are in close proximity to 7336 Anella Place. On February 3rd, 2024, an extra-large accessory structure resembling a Katrina home with attached deck and stairs was installed on said property. It is situated prominently center front close to the road, where it gives the appearance of a temporary dwelling while the actual residence is set back on the property, overshadowed by this structure. Our concerns are as follows. Number one, due to the structure's imposing size and present position, it looks out of place in our R2 zoning area. Number two, does this building comply with the zoning laws for an accessory structure with regard to appearance, size, and where it may be placed on the property? Number three, we spend money and time on the upkeep of our properties, and we are concerned that the look, size, and placement of this structure will negatively affect our property values. We understand that the owner was granted permission by Diamond Head to install the structure on his property under accessory structure. But we are at a loss to understand why permission was granted to situate such a large building so prominently close to the road. Therefore, we respectfully request that the structure be set further back on the double lot to a less commanding position. Thank you for your consideration towards a mutual resolution in this matter. Johnson, Fayards, and Oakland. Sorry.
Okay.
So-
So on this picture, where is
Yes.
your home?
To the left.
Okay, so over here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay,
All it's gonna be is my office, and we like to play music, and was gonna soundproof to do music because it's too cold in the winter and too hot during the summer. And if that's why I asked permission before I spent $8,000.
okay. All right. Okay, so Pat, does the building meet the requirements of the ordinance for accessory structures, even with the porch?
Yes,
Okay.
it does.
Okay,
Nobody's gonna be living in it.
okay, yeah. Okay,
Okay, I will say
Mm-hmm.
that an accessory structure cannot be used to operate a business out of.
okay, yes,
Well, it's not a business, it's just that I'm an insurance broker, and it's just quiet out there. I mean, I'm not operating a business. I mean, it's just like, I'm not allowed to have a home office.
You're just working at home?
you're working from home?
Yeah,
You're
I'm working from home.
remotely. Okay,
Yeah, I'm working remotely, and it's just like, I talk very loud. I'm using my inside voice. So, my roommates say I'm very loud, so. And plus, when you work from home, you wanna watch TV, you get lazy. So I always do better work when I'm away from the inside.
yes, I can appreciate that. My husband
I was spending
insulated.
$1,000 a month in Gulfport for 400 square feet. So, in driving, so it just didn't make sense.
All right, all right, thank you.
Okay?
Okay, are we ready for the staff report, or do we have people with,
No, that's no more,
Okay.
nobody, no one else signed up to speak.
okay?
Okay, pardon me?
Do I need to stay?
Yes, if you
Yeah.
want to, yeah.
The recommendation to the planning commission is to not deny the variance as permitted. As you know, there are 8 questions here that have to be answered in the affirmative all 8 of them to allow a variance of
Okay.
this type. And we found that you could not answer well, one of them you could answer in the affirmative, but not all 8. Looking at number 1, special conditions and circumstances, the lot width, because it is a double wide, and if you'll notice on, I think it's a black and white picture, you can see there's a vast expanse of the lot to the right of where that accessory structure is, where it could be located and not be anywhere close to 10 feet to the home. So that's, and literal interpretations of this provision would not deprive the applicant of any rights commonly enjoyed by other owners. That special circumstances, if any, do result from the actions of the applicant. The accessory structure was not placed where indicated in the drawing, and no inspections were requested. The first we found out that it was there was when the neighbor complained to us. And then we went out to look and make sure that it was placed properly, et cetera. So, yes.
So there was not it was placed there before a permit was submitted?
No, the permit, he had the permit.
Okay.
But if you will look on page number 9, the geoportal map there, you can see that the plan placed for that portable building was considerably away from the structure. It was all the way on the second lot there.
I wanted it pushed more back, towards the back, but, like I said, I mean, I wasn't there to really know.
Okay. All right. So, let's see. If we allow this, it will confer to this applicant things that we do not allow other applicants to do. So consistency in the implementation of our ordinances. You got some other issues with it is in a flood zone, so it needs to be raised 2 feet. So it's going to have to be raised.
Events, I thought you said.
Yeah, and flood vents, yes. So there's some other issues to it also. So that's why we recommended not to allow the variance.
So other than the variance, there's other issues?
That's correct. And I understand what Mr. Thompson was doing here. Instead of paying $1,000 to have it moved, try to get the variance for $100, and I understand that.
Right.
So what, I'm sorry. So for Mr. Thompson, what, there's a list of things that he needs to do to
Correct.
be able to satisfy the permit with that
Correct.
property?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes, and he's been provided with that list.
okay.
Okay.
And basically, it needs to be lifted 2 feet and moved away from his primary residence at least another 2 feet. From the way it looks, 2 feet, he'll have to move it on the other side of the magnolia because he can't make it fit there where the magnolia is, so on the other side of the magnolia. So that would satisfy it, and put the flood vents in, and then we're fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Then he will have met the requirements of the ordinance.
Commissioners, are there any other questions for Mr. Rich? Okay. If not, would someone like to make a recommendation on this request? And we can either accept what Mr. Rich has provided, which is to deny it, or we can modify that.
Correct.
Move that we accept the recommendation of the building
Staff.
The staff.
So,
staff, yeah.
so do we want to make a move to deny his 2-foot variance, but he could come back again after he satisfies the,
If he satisfies the requirements, if he moves the structure 10 feet or greater from the primary residence, and he raises it up 2 feet, the flood vents, and has it no further than the front facade of his existing home, then he will have met the ordinance.
okay. So we can approve it with satisfying the ordinance.
Well, what we're recommending is to deny.
Deny it.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah,
asking.
yes.
Yeah.
So he
Deny,
would have to come back and get another,
no, he will
No.
not, if he meets all the requirements. Now, if he requests another variance, he cannot request this same variance, but he could come back and request another.
So in other words, throw it to the back door, nobody can see. Would that make everybody happy?
It would meet the requirements of the ordinance.
Okay, if I would, then I would throw it to the back of my property.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Okay, so we have a second from Commissioner Parrish. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes.
And if, this is a recommending body. All decisions are made by the city council. So this body sends a recommendation to the city council. This will be heard by the city council on Tuesday of next week. What day is that? Second, thank you.
I'm gonna put it to the back.
Okay,
Be done with it.
all right.
Okay.
So,
So that way ain't
just,
gotta worry about it.
just make you aware.
$1,000 the way to move it 2 feet or.
Yeah. So
Right.
let's
Let
do,
me make you a suggestion. You have a bunch of friends. Because the same thing happened to me. I had to move my shed. Same type deal.
Mm.
I invited a bunch of friends. I bought some big PVC pipes.
Yeah, you
Put it
rolled
under
it.
there and I rolled it like the Romans did.
Okay.
So I bought them beer and pizza.
I got redneck friends. Hey, boy, I got some good crawfish.
okay.
It's not moving up state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I need to get that. He said that if I need that understanding. If I kept it at that level and put in flood vents, that's okay. Or do I still need to raise it 2 feet and the flood vents?
2 feet and the flood vents,
Okay, all right, no problem.
because you can't leave it on the ground
I got
because.
you, I got you,
Okay.
I got you. We cool. I just
Okay.
couldn't put it up like way like 5 feet.
Okay.
I'm a dialysis patient. I'll break my neck.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Bo will email you exactly what you got to do.
So the
Thank you.
the next item of business is a revised draft of the proposed text amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, zoning. The proposed text amendment is a comprehensive revision of the zoning ordinance to reflect Envision Diamond Head 2040. The city's comprehensive plan. Case file number is 202300448. And I believe Mr. Bob Barber with Orion Engineering is here to present this.
And you'll be happy to know his lovely assistant doesn't have to do the slides anymore.
Okay.
I fixed the PowerPoint, so I'm able to control the slides. Not an engineer, planning and design. Just want to make sure, because the engineers will get me if I march under the banner of engineers. Planning commissioners, it's good to be back before you. Have appreciated very, very much the opportunity to work with Diamond Head over the last several years. Two very significant, well, more than two, but many significant elements associated with Diamond Head's growth and community development, beginning with the Envision Diamond Head Comprehensive Plan itself, which was adopted a couple of years ago. And one of the implementation items out of the plan was the reorganization and rewrite of Diamond Head zoning code. So my plan was to show you some information that you've already seen, with the exception of Mr. Parrish. You may have seen it online or in the audience, but just to refresh and make sure that we got the baseline set, everybody's on the same page with regard to where we've come from and what's before you. So that'll take probably 10 minutes or so. I'll try to keep it to 10 minutes, and then questions. Stop me along the way if you will. You will see the Now, I bragged on being able to do it. There it goes. So the first zoning code, which is in effect right now, today, tonight in Diamond Head, was adopted in 2012 after the city became a city. It's been in effect all that time. It has certain great features about it, but as we have moved into now 2024, it's 12 years old, going on 15 years old, shifts and changes, and most importantly, a new comprehensive plan developed in 2021 and 2, Envision Diamond Head 2040. So the slide says that plans drive codes. Codes are an implementation tool of a broad vision, and so we illustrate it there. So without going back through Envision Diamond Head 2040, which is online and you all have seen and been through, the comprehensive plan takes a broad vision look at the city, and then it includes certain particular items under the law, and its function then is to drive investments, to drive development, redevelopment, environmental protection, design, all the aspects of creating community. That's what a zoning code does. So we use this process going through Envision Diamond Head, a very straightforward process. We're down here in the implementation phase. That's what the code rewrite is all about. And just thumbing through the slides from Envision Diamond Head, it's a very thorough look at the city, both from a factual point of view, from a statistical point of view, from an economic point of view, environmental, all of those elements considered, but also, and most importantly, the input of Diamond Head itself, where we had many thousands of touch points on Envision Diamond Head, and just some of the slides there, and some folks have continued to be engaged in the process, which is really excellent. Out of that coming a broad vision, this articulating the vision of growing, preserving, celebrating, connecting Diamond Head, and how it would seek to do that over time. And then one of the core components of it is forecasting the ideal future development of the community going forward. So this is the interstate. There's downtown Diamond Head, or the commercial area, and then of course all the residential area here, waterfront out here. We projected that on what's called place types, and then we also focused in on some key areas in the community. One was the waterfront, the marina. We offered more than just a color on a map, but a specific design. It's conceptual. And it reflected the inputs and the study, the inputs of the process participants and the study, the overall study itself. And then the key component was the envisioning of the what I'm going to call downtown, or now has been referred to as the Aloha District here. The vision was, and the distinct
If everyone could silence their cell phones, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
The distinct direction, and this is the adopted plan, of facilitating a walkable mixed-use downtown. This was a clear outcome of the plan. And so we began to envision that. I'll show you a little more on that in a minute, but this was part of East Aloha, and envision how can this be generated going forward. And then, of course, from all that vision, and it's not just that, but since that's been one of the prime topics of discussion, I mentioned that specifically. And then going forward, ensuring that we get an implementation strategy that implements the plan, not just from a policy point of view, but also things like your walkability, connectivity, the walking, biking elements, trails, all the amenities that the community was interested in. And this slide indicating, this was out of the community survey, which had broad participation of, I forget the exact number, but it was multiple hundreds. These were the top key concerns of that came out of the survey. The second being improvement for Diamond Head's commercial district, and then preservation of areas, expansion of walkability, traffic flow, and those sorts of things. So there are many strategies in that implementation. You've undertaken many of them. The city, it's been amazing, and I'm telling you, we do a lot of planning. Your implementation has been superb, from getting grant funding and following up on the principles of the plan and pursuing these things. So plans are implemented by policies, projects, and management. So projects, yes. Policies, the core policy is the zoning code. The existing zoning code does not capture the vision in the technicalities of that mixed-use walkable downtown, and so that's one of the basis for the rewrites. But that's not the only basis. There were formatting areas to focus on. The old code is sort of text-dense, text-heavy. The regulatory content to some degree, and then process and administration. So these are the best practices summary of how to achieve that. Then we assessed the current code, and we assessed it for those best practice elements that you see there. And I'm just showing, these are the tools that we use to assess it and to draw conclusions about how it ought to be rewritten and restructured. And I'll dwell on this slide just for a second. This is the existing organization of the current code. There are about 20 articles there, and they're all scattered. So each of these color codes deals with a different topic. So topics in green are scattered throughout the code, and you see the nature of it there. So then in the second step, we group those together so that we get topics near one another, and then we combine and streamline, and we end up with a code of 20 articles with scattered provisions, where we have 10 or 11 articles that has in our opinion, a more coherent organization. And then we must align that code to the various place types that are in the plan. So the plan does not regulate. The plan provides the vision. The code is the actual law. That's actually what drives the way development occurs. And then another aspect of the current code was the 260 some odd uses there in the matrix. And there you would have an ice cream shop and a this shop and a that shop and another type of shop. And they can all be coalesced and aggregated under the topic of retail or the topic of restaurant, or it simplifies, makes it easier. And this on the right-hand side is just where we are making notes and figuring out what can be combined. So another element is the format and the navigation of it. We've very hyperlinked. Now you're looking at a hard copy on your tabletop, but the electronic copy will hyperlink all throughout. The layout and hierarchy, interactive navigation, all those sorts of things. And then the slide here will indicate just the differences between the two codes. Now, if you're trying to navigate a code where you're a citizen, an out-of-town developer, a homeowner, somebody interested in moving to Diamond Head, and you want to provide clearer understanding. I don't know that any zoning code is going to be warm and fuzzy, but want to provide as best you possibly can, serving citizens with clear and straightforward information. We try to organize in that way, citizens and investors. So another element is in your existing code, you have a series of footnotes, which are basically conditions on certain types of uses, such as a bar or a lounge has to have certain extra kinds of conditions put on it. Well, in the rewrite, those use conditions are organized. If we click this link next to this use, we will go right to this spot. So we can address potentially, how shall I say it, uses of concern, such as an auto repair shop that has a lot of junk laying around. So we can have certain conditions that will help govern that and ensure that it presents well to the public. Not just that, but it's also helpful to the neighboring property owners and business owners. Real quick, I'm already over my 10-minute time I put on myself. The regulatory provisions, the table of uses I just mentioned, we consolidated 260 to 160. We streamlined those uses into permitted and permitted with conditions and conditional uses as the categories. We expanded those use conditions for clarity and precision from 15 margin notes to the 14 fully listed. Expanded, clarified, and reorganized site and building design standards. Now let me stop here. There are a few building standards, design standards in the current code. According to Envision Diamond Head 2040, it's not robust enough. Diamond Head is concerned about its design. It wants good design. So we have a full design, site and design building standards there. I believe it's Article 8, if I'm not mistaken. So that is a significant addition. And then we added districts. Now this is a little bit of a misnomer. We did not add the Aloha District. The Aloha District is in the current zoning code, except it's called Town Center Mixed Use. We changed the name of it just as almost as a identifier, Diamond Head, and here's our Aloha District, kind of as a branding mechanism. We did add the traditional neighborhood district. So the Aloha District is there in the current code. We just replicated it. It does not exist on the ground. It is in the text. It's not on the map. So if anybody wants to do anything under the Aloha District, they have to be before the commission requesting that particular provision. We clarified the existing districts. Here's an important one, is right-sizing parking ratios. Many cities across our land are eliminating parking ratios altogether. It's not occurring here, but we do right-size them so that we don't get big, expansive parking lots that are not parked on, and they exacerbate your drainage problems, and they run off and they hurt the environment, etc. We incorporated the recent tree amendments that you just passed, and we added some low-impact design provisions for your drainage. So that's a clip out of the design standards where we have listed those by zone. They apply mostly to the commercial zones, although there are some residential standards that are in effect as well. And I use this slide to illustrate the intended impact of these standards. This is a generic auto zone. It's like any other auto zone. I can't even tell you where that is, but we've all seen hundreds of them probably. And they do great at selling auto parts, but it's not a particular attraction or an addition to community character. It's a generic kind of brand store. Now, your design standards are intended to achieve something more along the lines of what we see here, which is still an auto zone, but it provides a dignified presence, a very high quality presence, and it achieves two things, commissioners. One, it achieves better street presence, but it also achieves really solid economics in the community, because typically AutoZone is going to move around. They may leave. They may vacate that building, and the community, whatever community, is left with trying to reutilize this in the streetscape. It's hard to do. It's a less attractive proposition than if you try to re-employ this in the streetscape and get it back on the tax rolls, because it can be so many other things than the first one. So just a point. And a couple of final points on the walkable town center. We did start this. I pulled this back from when we first started the process. This was when the town center mixed use, which is what is adopted now today and is in your zoning code, came from a process in which the Linfield Group from New Orleans, I believe, presented mixed-use concepts for placemaking a walkable mixed-use town center. And then we were asked, and again, that's a vision, that's a special area plan, it doesn't do anything with the rules. We were asked to code it, and we did code it to what you currently see as town center mixed use, and hopefully will be the Aloha District, if you want to call it that going forward. So this is all your C1 existing zoning. In Diamond Head now, today, under the current code, if you look at anything zone C1, you're going to get, it's suburban spread, if you will. It's this. This has a place in the community, and there's still zones for it, but it is not town center mixed use and walkable, which is what the town center mixed use is intended to do. So skipping on through that, that's what we did. That's where the town center mixed use came from. The code rewrite does nothing but replicate it. It doesn't, we hadn't changed anything. It merely replicates it, and it never was put on the map itself. This was a proposed map, but I shouldn't even call it a proposed map. It was a map to consider, but it has never been placed on the ground. So,
Bob,
yes.
if I can stop you for a minute. So when you're speaking about town center mixed use, if a developer came in, they could build buildings where there were businesses on the bottom and rental units on the top, if they so desire.
Of that building type, yes, if it complies with that particular
Okay.
code. Yes,
Okay.
that would be a mixed-use building. But not everywhere in that town. There are some places would be reserved exclusively for residential. So the intended outcomes are along these lines conceptually, and not this. This is what we heard as the desire for the community going forward. More of this. Yes, this is important, but let's see if we can generate downtown Diamond Head. So that was the parking. The last thing I want to mention was on the because this was a topic of conversation, process and administration. We did have the design standards in the current code before you, draft code. We have it as a staff administered process. In other words, the standards the staff uses the standards to work with the applicant, and if there is a dispute, it comes before the Planning Commission on appeal to work out any dispute or interpretation. Now, there was some discussion of a design review committee, which involves a full, that's another body, it's another set of meetings, it's another. There is the option of the Planning Commission itself administering those design standards. But at the draft before you, I just want to be clear, the draft before you has it as a staff-administered process. What are the next steps here? The last time I was before you in January, we called for comments. Those comments came in. I think you may have them in front of you. We had about 6 or 8 more comments. We've revised the document to account for the comments number 7 and number 23. Some of the comments are just asking for clarification. One of the comments, which we loved, I'm going to frame it because it's a compliment. It says the code is easy to navigate, and it's wow, this is great, which is a rarity for us to hear in zoning work. Nonetheless, there weren't a lot of comments that came in. We did make those clarifications. I believe Pat has, I don't know where he went, but he may have a few more comments for us to consider in a moment. But in terms of next steps, Madam Chair, the public comment period you established is closed.
Okay.
Doesn't mean, and you have a draft before you to consider for recommendation as
Okay.
next steps.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Barber? Okay. Bob,
Yes.
and I know you've presented several times. Thank you for coming down and spending your time doing this with us. Can you speak a little bit about the different home offerings for the city based on the ordinances and how we're looking at that? That is it just a single plan for a purchasable home, or are there other options that we need to consider as a community?
It depends on how you in the next step, and I should back up to say that, and I may have it in my the zoning map. Sorry, I'm out of it now. The zoning, there was talk about the zoning map. There it is right there. All right, so this is the map that accompanies the ordinance. It is the same map as you have today. It's no different, except for one difference. R1 we renamed to R10 because it has 10,000 square foot lots. R4 or whatever it is,
Six.
one of them we renamed to R6 because it has 6,000 square foot lots. The commercial designators are the same, C1 and C2. The Aloha, and I'm going to answer your question, I promise. The Aloha district is the TCMU, Town Center Mixed Use, is Aloha district, Aloha Mixed Use. Those are the kinds of changes. There are no boundary changes proposed. Now, as a next step, the consideration of what should be the boundaries and the right products for the Aloha district can follow as the manner in which they wanted to proceed with it. Now, to your question, the Aloha district in particular, depending on how it's configured, will allow for a greater diversity of housing type. Because it will include single-family homes, will include condominium type homes at a rise, depending on what height is determined. It includes townhomes. It includes group home scenarios. So there's a variety of housing. Now, one of the outcomes of Envision Diamond Head 2040 was a greater diversity of housing offerings in the city, so that there's not just a overwhelming dominance of a singular product. And one of the key elements was concern for aging, persons who are aging and need that type of housing. Where should it be located? Either smaller lots or a group home like my mother is in. So that's a long, rambling answer, which sometimes I'm prone to do, to say that the plan will say that a greater diversity of housing in the appropriate location for Diamond Head is a community goal. Did that answer it?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, commissioners? Okay, Pat, do you have anything?
No, I have nothing to add at this time, but we do
Any
have some public
comments?
comments, I
Okay.
believe.
Go for it.
Vaughn, did you want to talk about the zoning ordinance? Oh, well, okay. All right. Bill? Did you want to talk about the zoning ordinance? Go ahead. You will have 3 minutes.
First of all, I just want to explain my overall philosophy of government is that I learned many years ago is a law should have significant public good while minimizing the effect of the rights of an individual. That being said, there's a couple issues that I have with the zoning ordinance, specifically 4.3.7 as far as the residential building structure. Paragraph 7 says there should be only one accessory structure. That really, it should just be deleted and just have the area limitation, because a homeowner should not have to choose between having a shed or a play structure or a gazebo or even a fancy doghouse. So I think that's, and also the late Mayor Schaefer told me that if a structure was not anchored down, it would be considered temporary and not subject to this limitation. My second issue is the fence requirements, where it says that should not be extended over a property that the city has control over, and it says except with written permission is granted by all users. I would suggest that the onus be put on, not on the property owner, but on the users, and it be rewritten to say that if written objection is not submitted by any user. The
I'm
second
sorry,
section.
which section was that last one?
That last section is 4.310
Okay.
F requirements A, B, and C.
Okay,
Paragraph 12, the finished side of the fence shall display towards the outside. I don't see a real public good for this requirement, but it does have an impact on the rights of an individual. There are 5 reasons I have for that this requirement should be amended. Number 1, if a property owner is incurring the expense of erecting a fence, that owner should have the choice. Number 2, if a fence is being erected to corral a dog, it is much easier for a dog to crawl out of the fence when the finished side is out rather than in. Number 3, if maintenance on the fence is required, the homeowner has to get permission from the adjacent property owners to go around to fix his fence. Number 4, I've found no city ordinance with this requirement. Mr. Barber says he has seen it. And I've observed many municipalities, and I've seen few, if any, that has this requirement. Number 5 is there are many fences in Diamond Head, even today, that are being erected with the finished side to the inside. So if the city starts to go back and try to get homeowners to reconstruct their fences, there'll be hundreds of irate property owners. I recommend that this.
Time's up, Bill.
Just the city of Biloxi ordinance says that it's
okay,
it's
sorry.
on it's the choice of the property owner. That
Okay,
makes
thank
sense.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else, Pat?
Okay, where am I here? Bill. Tim Sterling. Mr. Sterling, excuse me.
Yeah, Tim Sterling, 5'4", you gotta give the address, 5411 Diamond Head Drive East. I wanted to talk a little bit about the zoning here. I was at the last council meeting. I thought what the mayor recommended as putting a moratorium was a good idea. I think we're acting a little bit too fast around here, but from what I understand, she got outvoted, and you know, she wanted to put a moratorium on rezoning, like any new zoning right away. But I guess my concerns are is what's going on with the country right now with this migration and this open border and a lot of squatting going on in the country. And you know, we might be a small city down here in the south and up in north Mississippi. If you notice, that blue district just seems to grow every year. Every time I look at it on the map, it just gets bigger and bigger. And they got like, you know, 2 Soros candidates up there in Jackson and Columbus. And James Carville's living right over here in Bay St. Louis. And I just think these Democrats are trying to ruin our country. And I think this stuff's going to move down here. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize what's going on. I think they got a lot of bad stuff going on in the country right now. You know, people are like squatting in people's houses. There's 1,200 houses right outside of Atlanta that are just like, gangs moved in there, turned them into nightclubs. They're filming porn in there. They have drag races down the street. New York City, the same thing. They found, and the law all serves the squatter. You know, the owner has no rights or anything. But anyway, that's why I feel like we're acting too fast. I think we got to wait until this border situation finally gets closed. Because I don't know, you start building a big high-rise structure, if it's not filled, this urbanism rezoning system is like to me, it's like a pig with lipstick on it. They're just gonna, you know, they could say, hey, you gotta start housing migrants or something like that. I mean, they ran kids out of high schools up in New York. They put the migrants in there. It's just really crazy, man. And I just wanted to let you guys know how I felt about it. I just think y'all acting too quick on this stuff. And another thing about the boundaries for this Aloha district, can you show me when them boundaries are, sir? Okay, because I don't even, you know, you say the Aloha district, but I don't even.
Thank
What
you.
is the Aloha district? Aloha Street? I mean,
Okay.
is there a?
It does not exist on that map. It only exists as the rules for the Aloha District in the document itself. It doesn't apply to the ground anywhere.
So how do you know where the boundaries are?
There are no boundaries for it.
There's,
Oh, okay, I heard you mention boundaries, so I thought we had boundaries. I'm just trying to see where it extends
Sir,
and what could possibly be
it's
built.
a fictional place at the moment.
It's a fish. That's good.
Okay.
That's what I would like to hear.
Okay.
Thank you
But-
very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, that's the only 2 I had for the zoning.
Okay. All right, so commissioners, any,
I put non-agenda because I wanted to talk about the map. I didn't know that was related because I did want to hear about that. I put down the wrong thing.
Okay, so yours is zoning related?
Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Because I was going to talk about the map.
Okay.
My name is Beverly O'Hara. I live on Analia. Good evening. I don't have an engineering degree, real estate, or legal background, but I and the other residents here tonight and those watching from home do have a financial and emotional investment in Diamond Head. We selected Diamond Head over the other coastal communities in nearby cities. We would like the Planning and Zoning Committee to recognize our feelings on that as we move forward. We're adamant that we'd like to retain our unique, lovely green golf cart community. We'd like our green spaces and tree canopy, wildlife, and the other amenities that we enjoy right now preserved and enhanced. That's the ultimate goal here. These are the very things that appeal to prospective residents, as well as our current tax-paying residents. I hope that the council and the Planning and Zoning Committee recognize that, acknowledge that we're all on the same team, and that we move forward in the same direction. We want to make sure that infrastructure is in place before, while planning the growth and decisions of our city and our wonderful community. The gist of it is we would like to make sure that no new properties go up, buildings go up, like the Taco Bell, while we're still C1. We really need to have the new map completed. And I respectfully ask, on behalf of myself and some of the other citizens here tonight, that we have that map in place by the third quarter of this year so that we can go forward and everybody's on the same page. That we know the precise zoning ordinances and the step-by-step plans that the future developments of Diamond Head are all about. We're not against building condominiums and things like that, but we don't want them towering over our neighborhoods 4 and 5 stories. In the right place in Diamond Head, there is a place for that. But, you know, we want everybody to be respectful of what the citizens that participated in Envision 2040 wanted, and that we stay on that same page, and that's our ultimate goal. We don't want to be fighting about any of this or disrespectful or upset, but we don't want to live in a cookie-cutter, ticky-tacky subdivision like maybe surrounding communities. We want to stay unique like we are. But that doesn't mean we're against growth. We just want it to stay pretty. We don't want, like you were saying, auto zones and Taco Bells and things like that. We want the proper signage and the proper buildings to go up so that it stays really lovely. And then when people drive through, they're envious and want to move here. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brown.
Good evening. Paul Brown, 5412 Lakeview Court. I would like to know on these areas that are going to be rezoned, when are they going to put signs up so people will know that this area is under consideration to be rezoned? There's a lot of people that don't come to these meetings or don't have the information, and you can't really read some of this on this map here, but I think there should be signs. That's how it's done in most cities. They'll put signs up, say this area is going to be rezoned, and have a description of where they could, who to contact or whatnot, because just word of mouth is not going to get it out. But if you live next to a property and you see the sign go up there, this property could be rezoned, it'll take the initiative to go check it out and find out what's going on.
So Pat, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but anytime we've had zoning reissuance come up, you have sent letters to the surrounding
Yes,
neighbors. You
Yes.
have put it in the newspaper.
yes,
It has been on the website.
yes.
And where else has it been?
E-blast.
It has been sent out on an e-blast.
And I
So,
think Facebook also.
and Facebook also. So there
Yeah.
are 5 different means of letting people know when something is changing, potentially changing its zone.
Yes, and we also committed to doing exactly what you wanted, Mr. Brown. And that is, in the rezoning procedure, we will put the signs up there, posted on the properties.
How soon in advance are you going to put the signs up?
It'll be 15 days prior to the meeting.
That's not much time.
That's part of the meeting.
Huh?
It's prior to the meeting to discuss it,
It is prior to the meeting.
not prior to the actual change.
Right, prior
Well,
to.
I know that.
Prior,
I think they ought
that's,
to go, they ought to be up a little bit longer than.
well,
15 days prior.
the law and our ordinance says 15 days prior to, you must have it in a publication of record, which is the Seacoast Echo. You must have it notification of adjoining residents or residents within a certain rate, and in rezoning is 500 feet, residents within 500 feet. And you must have it posted on the property that's going to be rezoned all 15 days prior to the meeting.
On the last project on Jack's Drive there, that you supposedly sent out letters, those letters didn't go out. There was only just a few went out.
Mr. Brown, we've discussed this before. We
I
did
think
send the
we need a
letters out.
certified letter.
The law doesn't require that, and it's not an expense. Certified letter doesn't make any difference. If they don't get there, they don't get there. We sent them out. Now, whether they got there or not, and we use the database that the county provides us of property owners.
Everybody I spoke with, no one got the letters other than the people on the.
Well, okay, I can't answer that question. We follow the law.
So I gave you a list of people that you were supposed to send the letters to.
People that we did send the letters to.
Well, I went out there and knocked on the doors on a lot of those people, and they said they have a person that was on the list. They bought the home from 8 years ago, a lot of those. The list was outdated.
I can,
If it was outdated, then all that mail should have come back to you, because it was undeliverable. If the name and address didn't match, it should have came back, and both said they didn't.
I'm not responsible for the post office and whether they send them back or not. I got a letter that was sent out 2 years ago, came back undeliverable. So we're not responsible for the post office.
So out of 200 letters, none of them come back.
I can't answer that. I don't know. Whatever came back, but it wasn't a bunch. Less than 10.
I know there's a lot more than 10 people I talked to that said that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Okay,
The rest of them are non-agenda items.
all right. So, commissioners, do we have a recommendation?
Well, I'd like
I'm
to
sorry.
give you a
Go ahead.
recommendation.
I'm sorry, give me your staff report, Pat.
The staff report is, first of all, I want to make a few changes here, so
Okay.
I'll go through those changes with you. On page 32, and these are going to be very simple. Page 32 of the, oh, there it is. Page 32.
Okay,
I need to get there. All right, it says maximum height.
mm-hmm,
We're going to change all of those to 35 feet. So it says 40 feet, and this is a mixed-use building.
okay,
So instead of and most of them say 40 feet. So that's page 32, 34, 36, 40, 42, 44, 48, 50, 52. Okay.
mm-hmm,
Now, we may come back, depending upon where when we put the districts, the Aloha districts, wherever we put the districts, we may make some changes to the height there, but we want to be able to accommodate some of the concerns that the residents, so if we keep it at 35, which it is today,
mm-hmm,
if we keep it at 35 for these areas, then we're fine.
Okay.
Okay. Then on page 77, there is and that's the chart of uses, if I'm not mistaken. There are two items on 77 where you've got a circle, and that circle should be a diamond, which means they're not permitted. You see down at the bottom of the page under commercial service,
mm-hmm,
shows vehicle service and repair. In the industrial district, that should be not permitted. And if you look at building materials and supplies,
mm-hmm,
in the C2 district, thank you, better eyes than me. C2 district, that should be not allowed. And then if you flip over to page 79, we've got the same situation down at the bottom of the page under public institutions, professional, community, civic culture and community center.
mm-hmm.
Under PFR, I believe that is, that should be not permitted.
Okay.
So with those changes, we recommend the adoption of this rewrite of the code. And we do it based on the following. This is one of the things that have been described or identified in the comprehensive plan that needs to be done. And we need to get to that point. Second thing is that it provides design standards. We're right now in a C1 and C2 area where we do not have any design standards. We have design standards in residential, but we do not have any design standards that we can hang our hat on. It provides the design standards in the code that we can use in C1 and C2 until we get the mixed use, town center, live make, townhome, waterfront. Till we get those sorted out on a map, we can control some of these things coming in and apply the design standards to them.
So rather having a standard metal building for an automotive parts place, you have the more brick and mortar,
Correct.
nicer looking building?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So that, as Bob said earlier, if the owner, Pizza Hut was a great example, all right? If a Pizza Hut decides to open one up here and then they decide to close it, now, everybody knows that's a Pizza Hut building. Well, if you're gonna build a Pizza Hut here, you're gonna have to conform to these design standards.
But the only way we get that conformity is to pass the zoning ordinances.
To pass
To
this,
adopt them.
adopt this rewrite.
Okay.
Okay, so it gives us that in our tool bag. So that until we get the places on the map and then apply those places and use the design standards there, this gives us something to hang our hat on.
So just real quick,
Yes, ma'am.
dog houses are not considered accessory structures?
No, they're not.
Okay, playground equipment is not, including tree houses are not considered accessory structures?
No, they're not.
And anchoring, yes or no?
Anchoring what?
Accessory structures. Do they have to be
Yes.
anchored to be?
Yes.
If they're not, are they considered temporary? Or is Bo gonna come out and say you have to anchor that?
Yes, they must be anchored to protect your fellow citizens, your neighbors.
Okay.
The flying debris. 155 miles an hour, must be
Mhm.
anchored, et
Okay.
cetera.
Current fences, we're not gonna go back and make residents who are putting current fences up change theirs, they'll be grandfathered in, correct?
Every resident that comes in and gets, and this has been going on for several months now, since before the beginning of the year. Every resident's come in and gets a fence permit, gets a copy of the fence ordinance with the pertinent items highlighted, including the pretty side out,
Okay,
okay? Or the,
finished side out.
Finished side out, excuse me.
Okay.
Finished side out, yes,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
And for those that are not conforming to this, our code enforcement officer is bringing them into compliance. And those that do not comply, he brings them into municipal court.
Okay, all right. Anything, was there anything else from the staff report?
I think I said enough.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Rich, commissioners?
So when are we gonna get to the point where we start rezoning?
Well, if y'all will approve this, that's the next thing that we start working on. In fact, Bob and I were talking about this earlier, along with Derek and Bo and John. And we were talking about this earlier, and we've already started the planning portion of that process. And it begins with me, where I've got to start putting some things on the map, a place to start, and then we work from there. So, that's going to take, a few months.
So this has taken quite a few meetings
Yes,
to
it
get
has.
to. This is not our first, second, or third meeting that we've talked about rezoning ordinances and rewriting the code
Right.
for that.
Right.
So, commissioners, do we have a recommendation to adopt the code? Or are there any other recommendations that we would like to make for
We
changes?
need to adopt it with the changes as suggested by the building department.
Yes.
That was the motion.
Okay, was that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay. Motion passes. Oh,
Okay, do we have one abstention? Or, I'm sorry. No.
no.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Pat did say this is not going, because we're gonna have to make these, send it back to Bob to make these few little changes. This will not be on next week's city council meeting. It will be at the meeting thereafter. Because this is coming from us, from the city, we're not under that deadline of getting it at the next meeting. So we're gonna make all the changes, adopt all the red lines, everything, have a clean document to be presenting to the council at the second meeting in April.
That will be the 16th of April.
Okay.
All
Thank you
right.
for that clarification.
You will.
Moving on to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I got distracted here. Blame it on Mr. Barber.
I'll blame it on Bob.
Okay.
Any unfinished
No, there is
business?
no unfinished business. Thank you.
Non-agenda item comments?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We'll start with Miss White.
Oh, which one?
Oh, there's two? Oh, there are two. Go ahead, Miss Dr. White.
Yes, thank you. Hi, I'm Jan Vanita White. I live at 7523 Crooked Stick Drive. Well, I want to thank you all for your service, first of all, especially you, Heather, for leading these meetings. It's really a thankless job. I'm usually I feel really good when I leave these meetings because, like Mr. Bob just now said, he wanted the commission to make clear and straightforward recommendations. But last week, there was something said in this meeting that really I didn't think was clear and straightforward. So I sent Heather an email and I asked for an explanation. So here is what was stated. So Heather, in response to Mr. Duff, who was expressing his concerns about a 3-story condo that had proposed to be built behind his home. Here is what you said in reply to Mr. Duff. Future generations do not want yards or large homes. They want a landing spot where they can crash for a few hours and then go live life. And what struck me about that is I had just completed a client project on housing trends for relocation. And that is counter to everything I had researched from the scholarly research. So here's what the scholarly research said. Now this is compressed, but now, by the way, I'm a gerontologist and I'm an aging expert. So at times I am called in to help people here like Mr. Bob. So the research indicates that there is an increase now for single-family homes across all generations, especially among young families. They're looking for single-family homes that have space for home offices, exercise, and remote learning, and that offer private outdoor space and are often located in suburban areas. So that is what my research showed. And I also sent Heather some stats from the census. So in the United States, owner-occupied living is 64.8%. In Diamond Head, we're 89.6% owner-occupied. That's 90%. So I don't think we're crashing. In the United States, the percentage of the population that's 65 plus is 17.3. In Diamond Head, it's 26.5. So there are a lot of people like Mr. Duff who want to age in place. And I would ask that you please factor in these stats and the research into making your decisions. And that's really all I can ask, is that you go about this process very deliberately and be very careful of where you get your information from. Thank you.
Ms. White?
Pidgey White, 6522 Mauna Loa Drive. I'm a little behind because Vaughn Biggs had to leave, and she would like me to deliver some information to you, and I'm afraid it was about the previous subject. Is that okay with you? I mean, I just read it.
Well,
can I read what she said?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. She said on Envision 2040 was adopted in 2021. 3 years later, we still don't have a working map for it. Until there is one, I would like to call a building moratorium before it's a moot point. My husband was a cartographer, so by association, Vaughn knows a little bit about mapping. This is not a difficult map, she states. My husband could have drawn it in a day by hand. With ARCGIS, it would likely to take a little longer. My question is, why the holdup? Exactly where is the holdup? We would really like to know. Okay, that's her subject. Okay. My subject is, it's kind of similar. I came here, maybe it was last April, and as you know, my main concern is the trees, in the environment. And in your reports, it's always interested in the environment. And you've probably driven around Diamond Head and seen a lot of clear cutting. And when y'all were talking to the fellow about 2 feet, and it took so long about 2 feet, what about the developers that are coming in with all these developments, and they're not coming here and asking your permission to do things that are against the ordinances? And we talked about changing the ordinances, but I don't ever think there was a need to change it. We just had to enforce it. And then I experience this by coming to the meetings, a delay factor, and I think that's a strategy. I think it's a delay factor. Kick the can down the road. Take it up at the next meeting. Then you have to take it up at the city council, and then you have to take it up at the next meeting. Nothing gets done. This has been going on since last April, the delay factor. And then also 2 different versions of enforced ordinances has turned in for the developers into applied variances. So the whole lingo is changed to cater to the developers. Good things have happened. That walking trail on Noma Place, that's beautiful. And if we could get more things like that where community can be proud of. But and I understand what you're saying about Stennis and needing housing for younger people. That's great, but if we can enforce what's being built and make it pretty so that we're still a beautiful community, and we're not just going to turn into a boring old suburb close to Slidell, Let's see if I had anything else. Can't read my own handwriting. Let's see. No, if we can get the developers to pay attention, to go by the guidelines. I mean, I had mentioned Elliott Homes, that small little street. My time is up, I know. But if you know there's no egress for fire trucks and things, they got away with that, but individuals are not getting away with 2 feet. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner comments? Well,
Oh, okay, now you can hear me.
I was going to say Derek, Pat, John, Tammy, Bo. It has been, commissioners, it has been a pleasure working with you. My time is up, so I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. All right, my turn now?
Your turn now.
All right. Well, we're saying goodbye to 2 people tonight.
Okay.
For those that were not aware of it, Sue Lael resigned from the Planning Commission, and so we're saying goodbye to her. She's already gone, and we're saying welcome to Mr. William Parrish, who has taken her place, and we look forward to working with him. Saying goodbye to Heather also. Heather and Sue and Lynn kind of been mainstays on this commission, and I will miss both you and Sue, and have enjoyed your time here, appreciate your efforts. I know it has not been easy, and that's just putting up with me. So I really thank you for your attention to detail, your understanding of what your responsibilities were, and you're leading this commission for the last year. So thank you very much, and best of luck to you in any endeavors you enter going forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Yes, there will be a meeting.
Announcements.
There will be a meeting. Man, I didn't even put that on here. The next, goodness gracious, the next council meeting will be Tuesday the 2nd. The next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be April 23rd. What? Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay.
So one quick question.
Yes, sir.
So will the next chairman be appointed, or will
Oh,
there be
I'm
an
glad
election?
you asked that,
We
because
were
that was
just-
part of my announcements. So at the next meeting on the 23rd, you will elect, and we have a new member joining, taking Heather's place. That's Kurt Raymond. Yes, thank you. I have to learn all these new names, and in my age, it's not that easy. Kurt Raymond will be joining us. So at that meeting, there will be an election of a chairperson and a vice chairperson, and y'all will nominate and elect it amongst yourselves. So be keeping that in mind for the next meeting. And we do have an agenda item for next meeting. And who else? That's all I know.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.